Hey, I'm Chris,
And I'm Natalie,
and we're somewhere.
south of Minnesota.
All right, welcome to another episode of Somewhere South of Minnesota. This video, we're going to discuss gate guarding. Is it worth it?
The first 10 months of our RV life, we didn't really record much. We were getting used to RV life, and so these last few videos have been just to get everybody sort of caught up about what happened and what we did the first 10 months. And today we're going to talk about what we did this winter in Texas. And we have been moving really fast from state to state. And we had watched a lot of videos, and RVers warned about this when you first start out. You're going to act like you're on vacation. We're going to move really quick, be in our 1,000 trails. We can stay at a park 4 days if we want to go park to park. So pretty much every time you start up the truck with the trailer hitched to it, you're down $100 in gas. And then, the kid, we were doing a lot of activities with her, going to places and sightseeing, eating out a lot. The budget was just getting blown. We didn't want to dip into our savings, so we headed to Texas, and we decided to do the gate guard thing.
Right.
Yeah, so before we even left Minnesota, we did a lot of research on gate guarding and, what it would be like to work out of the RV. We had researched a lot of jobs, actually, and gate guarding just sort of fit the bill for us.
Hey, we tried different methods. We looked at a lot of videos how to make money online. So there's like these, transcription services, and I don't know, I can't remember, but there are a lot of these. And it turned out to be kind of borderline scam. We couldn't make any money.
Yeah,
it was
didn't make anybody any of those.
So and then Natalie had this. She found out before we left that she saw a video. They said that this gate guarding idea where you guard these oil fields, and they thought, wow, we weren't sure if it was going to work, but she researched it, and it was actually a piece of cake. It was great.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Yeah, so. You work out of your RV, you become a security guard, and you work out of your RV at the gate. It was nice, it seemed nice, we could still spend time together, we didn't have to leave and go work somewhere else. It just seemed ideal for us.
It did. And
so,
it was a great gig. They supply the electricity and the water. They give you a 250-gallon water tank, and they have this huge industrial generator which gives you all the electricity you need.
It's basically deluxe boondocking is what it was.
Yeah. And we don't have to pay for any of that, so we're not paying any RV campground fees, and so that really, adds to the value of the income you're getting. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. And so
there's quite a few companies you can go with. I don't think they're all in Texas. There might be some other states that they do it in, but we chose Texas because we wanted to be where it was warm for the winter. So I called quite a few different companies, and we found one that we were comfortable with and seemed to sort of fit us. So when we first got started, we went through the application process, and we ended up being on a waiting list. They said, okay, so there's a waiting list, and it was about 2 weeks before we got our first gate.
About 2 weeks,
Then we showed up at where they give you a little pinpoint, because the oil fields are out in the middle of nowhere.
So the GPS pinpoint you, and you have to find it with your own Google Maps. It's not too hard, but it's it's absolutely the cell phone signal. There's really very little cell phone signal, but we got a WeBoost, so we were able to still work from our RV. I have to work full time in another job, so I could still do it in the middle of nowhere.
Right. So we show up at our first site, and a crew comes to set you up, and they help you situate the RV. And then they have all the equipment. They have tanks. They have a freshwater tank, and they have a black water tank. And then they bring a great big huge generator. It's like an industrial construction site generator with like a 100-gallon tank. It uses diesel. It's nothing like what RVers are used to for generators. And one of the things they tell you right off the bat is the water is not drinkable. They tell you right away not to cook or drink the water. It's basically just for washing up. So we used bottled water for drinking and cooking.
And you have to conserve your water. I mean, you have 250 gallons. We
per
have
week,
3 people, so you have to minimize your showers. All you have to do sponge bath type of showers. But I would go myself personally about 1 shower a week.
Yeah,
but
we get into a rhythm. The day they filled up our tank, we'd all take our showers, and then a few days later, you were down to either military showers or sponge baths. You're not able to flush out your tanks and do the stuff you're used to doing at a campground.
Yeah, and they do a really great job. They have a 3-man crew that's monitoring the diesel that keeps your generator going, filling up your water about once a week. But occasionally we did have issues, probably a dozen times, where the generator would suddenly stop working. Or so there was issues. Got to be honest, but they weren't too frequent. But they probably
and they were
happened.
taken care of very quickly. They pretty much had somebody out there the same
they did
day
a really
or the
great
next
job.
day, depending on what type of problem it was. Like if the generator went out, they'd have somebody out there, Johnny on the spot.
Yeah,
but
luckily we had our own backup
else.
generator,
Yeah.
so that helped us. A couple times
did.
we had to use our backup generator because their generator went out. And in terms of water, sometimes we use a little too much water, so we call them, and they were always really nice to send someone out.
They didn't make you feel bad that you had went through all your water.
It was hard it's hard to time the water all the time because if you want to do laundry, that's where you use all your
laundry
water,
was the biggest culprit. Normally I would go and do laundry at a laundromat, but there were times when I decided to do it out of the rig, and then you're.
So basically, you got to be conscious of when you do dishes. Just do. Just be conscious of don't having that water running all the time.
And we'd use a lot of paper plates and stuff. Normally we don't use paper plates and paper cups and stuff, but we would use the disposable stuff when we were out there. We planned on it. It's essentially boondocking with some pluses. You have a huge waste tank attached to your RV, you have a huge water tank attached to your RV, and you have a giant generator. But basically you're still boondocking, and just like any boondocking situation, you're going to have to conserve.
Yeah, it's like you're boondocking with help.
So when you first get set up on these sites, you don't really have many options. You get to the site and you sort of, at the gate, they've cleared a path for the RV to sit on, and that's where they expect you to park the RV. There's no adjustment for which way the sun comes up or the sun comes down. You
can't pick which direction you're going to be relative to the sun. So we actually had a weird issue where the sun would be beating down. You had to be out there. You would get sunburned. I mean, you would get the direct sun would be right in your face. Of course, we had the awning, but that wouldn't cover it. We actually had what did you do? We had to build a device to block the sun.
I sort of I took some landscaping fabric and rigged it up so that I could hang it from the end of the awning so I could block some.
Because
of the sun.
I mean, her feet got so burnt or tanned to such a degree. Even now, there's like this
wicked tan.
It's a wicked. I've never seen a tan line that wicked, and it's like when you're out there, you don't realize how much sun you're getting. It's not always level. It's not like an RV park, and a lot of times that was an issue is that we couldn't eyeball how level it was, and of course the type of material they put down. Sometimes it's a very very uneven gravel, and it's not. They're not especially designing it for RVs. So
and even the last spot we were at, God, the rocks were super big and sharp and jagged. There was no way we could put our mat down. It was really uncomfortable to even walk on.
Right, it was, and so you got to be very conscious of exactly where you park it, and so we had some issues with it not being level. We could not level it correctly. We had to get blocks. We didn't have blocks, so. We did have some issues where we couldn't get it really level. And we couldn't even find it wherever we went forward, we went backward, and there's really only one place. So that was an issue, but they they helped us a lot.
Oh, they did help us a lot. They were able to put the trailer up on jacks. They brought out different jacks other than the ones that are on our RV.
Yeah, kind of a
and
hand
then,
jack.
and then we went out to a lumber store, got some blocks and wood, and had it chopped.
That
out.
really made a difference, is having the blocks, because then we can always, and we found out that manually leveling it was a lot better in those type of situations.
Yeah, when you're super unlevel, it's definitely better to manually.
Because we were auto leveling. You know, we kept resetting our auto level. Eventually, one of our circuit breakers blew, so we had to call a mobile tech so that was something we learned. And we'll discuss another video, but we actually one of our jacks began leaking a week into our journey. So we've had a leaking jack for almost a year.
So we were working with a bad jack anyway.
So but that's just something to mention.
Right. So the company we went with required you to have some of your own equipment that we had to purchase up front. I've heard that other companies supply this equipment, but we had to buy lights and driveway sensors, and I think all in all we probably spent around $300, maybe a little bit more than that.
We averaged between 100 and 300 vehicles a day. So the main thing you have to get the license plate number, the driver's name, his company, and the make and model of the vehicle he's driving. That's the information. You write it down on paper, and then you have to enter it online. They give you a little pad to enter it online. It's easier over time because they have a huge database. So a lot of these drivers we've seen before. They've been in that gate. So all you get is the license plate number, and all of their information shows up, and that really makes the job easier, because if you had to get information for every single car for those 300 vehicle days, it would be a tough job.
Right, and I would say usually about 80% of the drivers that are coming through your gate, they already have their information in the system, but there's no way you can know that. So for the first 2 or 3 days at a gate, until you get to start knowing the drivers
pretty
and
much
who's already in the system,
all the information.
you basically have to get all the information. And even for somebody who doesn't have that great of a memory, the license plates start to stick in your head, and you recognize them pretty quickly.
Or some trucks stick out; they're like, bright orange or this. Something. So you do remember, but it is hard to actually remember them because there's so many of them. Sometimes you're always asking information about a truck you've already seen, but that's because you can't remember hundreds of trucks.
I'm really good with numbers, so maybe it's easier for me than other people. But me and Chris both, we both pretty easily could decide whether we needed to get information on a truck or not.
And what we kind of figured out is that the most important thing is to get the cars through as quickly as possible. And so, really, they didn't double check any of our work, although maybe they do with other companies, other gates, but maybe we did a good job. But we were a little concerned, are we getting these names spelled correctly? Is all the what the details, are they gonna is that gonna be, are we gonna have to go? But they pretty much accepted everything we did. Right,
and they even told us several times that we were some of their best gate guards. So I think we were doing a pretty good job, even though we questioned ourselves all the time. And both me and Chris are sort of that perfectionist personality, so I think we were doing a better job than we sort of thought we were.
Right, and we did have. So most of these, we went, how many total? About 6 different oil fields?
Yeah, well, there was a period of time where they just had us following the same, they call it a rig. So they have a rig that's designed, and it goes through its different stages. It has drilling, and then there's completion of drilling, and then there's fracking. Fracking is always super busy when they go into fracking.
They have these hundreds of sand trucks, these big sand trucks coming every day. And then they have something called overflow, which I don't know exactly what it is, but that's just...
Yeah, it really slows down during overflow, and then when they call it workover, when they're just finishing up what they're doing there, and they're pulling everything out and stuff like that. Yeah. Each one of these stages, some of them are super busy, some of the stages are super slow.
Right.
But the last gate we were at, we were able to almost follow to completion from start to finish.
That was great.
Yeah, it was 6 weeks at the same site.
So that was, we got 6 weeks at the same gate, whereas earlier when we first started, we might work 2 weeks at a gate, and we had to go to another gate for another week, then go back to a different gate for 3 weeks. That was a little bit more difficult because we have to move the rig and kind of the stress of moving from point to point.
Right. So, it is always a stress when you have to move your RV and set it up in a new location and get settled in, and so it was really nice being at the same gate for 6 weeks.
Same gate.
Yeah.
Our very last oil field was actually beautiful. and we'll show those pics. I mean, there was a field actually like miles of wildflowers of 10 different, and she got a lot of great pictures. And then the wildlife, there was our own personal little road runner.
Yeah, a pair
and that
of them.
road runner had an attitude, and he'd come by every day, and he had an attitude. He would look at our little cat, and he would go, "What are you?" And then we saw this weird thing where there's this bird called a killdeer, which lays eggs on the ground. And it's, I don't know if you heard of this bird, but if you approach this bird, it pretends like it's injured. It's a cool bird. It's called a killdeer. Well, the roadrunner, which Natalie was documenting, the roadrunner saw these killdeer birds and went after it and ate its eggs. And then what other animals on our last site?
Coyotes. Yeah, I spotted a couple coyotes. I was never able to catch one.
She saw a coyote catch a rabbit. She was looking at this jackrabbit, or no, it was a regular rabbit. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, this coyote, boom, grabs that rabbit.
Super fast. Didn't even hesitate.
Right.
Lightning quick, grabbed the rabbit and just continued running. I thought, oh my God, if that would have been my cat, there's no way I would have ever been
and
able to
where
see
we're
that.
at, guess what? There's rattlesnakes everywhere.
Yeah,
a lot of the
rattlesnakes.
gates, the drivers would tell us, hey, there's a gigantic rattlesnake that was run over. And then our last gate, there was a rattlesnake skeleton that was draped over the fence. And then we heard a story of a gate that we were at across the highway from us that we were at previously. We talked to these people who are working the gate now, and a rattlesnake tried to attack their little dog.
Yeah.
And they had to kill the rattlesnake. And then she went out, she saw a rattlesnake, went out there, she's very, very curious, and got pretty close. That thing began to rattle, right?
Yeah, it was a little baby. He started running the minute he saw me. He didn't want anything to do with me, but I just wanted to see one up close.
And because we're going on private land, we actually went on a ranch where there were a huge herd of horses and cows right on top of us, right?
Yeah, it was beautiful. They'd come right up to the RV. The horses were super friendly. We go out there and pet them and feed them carrots and apples and stuff.
And there were cows and cattle everywhere. And another interesting thing is that we were really in the wilderness here. So when we were parked for maybe 30 days, we had these birds that set up nests in our truck, in the holes in the truck.
We didn't know at the time,
And they also put a nest in the generator, in the back of the fan part of the generator. They built a nest. So later on,
down the road,
the generator
figure out why the generator's
was
smoking.
on fire, and I was like, "What the hell?" And it kept sputtering, and it found the bird's nest.
And then I had to replace a taillight in the truck. I took it to an auto place. They come out, he unscrews the lens part. There's a whole huge bird nest up in between there. There's eggs and everything. I'm like,
the birds were like just crazy. And the one of our sites, there were literally thousands of butterflies, and it was there were probably 10 species or maybe 20 species.
It was crazy.
Every kind of butterflies I've never seen
They'd
before.
land right on you, and I were all over the ground.
And then Natalie, though, has a lot of issue with insects. They do not touch me. I do not get a single... Tell them your story of insects.
Oh, anything out there will bite me, sting me. Red ants are the worst. I swear they hunt me down. I get red ant bites. My ankles right now are just eaten up by red ants. Fire ants, I think they call them, the little tiny ones.
She got attacked by fire ants how many times? 10 times.
Yeah.
So that was an issue. Watch out, there's different kinds of fire ants, big ones, little ones.
Yeah.
And then there's these ants that have wings.
Oh my gosh.
Really weird.
Yeah, so apparently it only happens every few years or so, but one night we were just invaded by these like flying ants, and they were everywhere.
Big ants.
Just millions of them, literally. They were all over the lights, all over the RV, everywhere. And in the morning, it looked like they were all like dead. But then after watching this, I realized pretty quickly that they were turning into these giant black ants. I mean, we're talking black ants the size of my thumb. They were just giant.
Yeah, I mean,
the ranch holder told us that it was a thing that happened like every few years where these things came out.
It was like this weird phenomenon, yeah. So, but we got to one gate right when the prickly pears, which everyone knows are prickly pear, the cactus, they were all blooming at once. So there were like thousands of prickly pear right around us. They're beautiful blooms. That was really cool.
It was really cool.
And what about the story of, we did have a little story about a giant snake.
Big, what's that called? A bull snake? Or, I don't know. I think they called it a bull snake.
And it was
huge.
How wide was it?
Yeah, he was at least 4 inches thick. He was huge. So he came across. I was watching him go across the road. We'd see him frequently. I was watching him go across the road, and I just wanted to go try and get a picture of him. And as I got closer, I seen that we had these tropical mockingbirds.
Yeah,
Is
we
that what
looked
they
it
were called?
up in a bird book.
Tropical mockingbirds. They were
Yeah.
really cool, but they had a nest, and I knew they had a nest over there somewhere, but I wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
I go over there, and all their babies are now on the ground. The
Oh,
snake
yeah,
has
yeah.
crawled up the tree, and they've all gotten scared and fell down on the ground, and all these baby birds
Yeah, that was
all over.
Yeah, it was great. And then that snake later, another day, Natalie saw it near the gate. She went by and he crawled into the pipe right at the gate.
Yeah, they have this thing
Yeah.
called a cattle guard. It keeps
Right.
the cattle and the horses
'Cause
from
it-
going out of the gate.
Right.
And there are big pipes that go across, and the snake went right into this pipe. And I'm like, he's in there.
And it was, I mean, a giant. I mean, this thick and
Yeah,
this
it's
long. It was
really
a
big.
big snake. And well, one little, and then we have a little kitten. We just got her, Catula. So she's named after the actual the city that our gate guard company is located.
Yeah.
So she's a little kitten, and she went missing one day. Couldn't find her. She was hiding somewhere. And Natalie just told me about that big snake. And so I didn't think so. God, did that snake? Is she in that snake's
Yeah,
belly?
me and my daughter went to go do
Yeah, oh my
laundry, and we
God.
took her with us, and he didn't realize we had taken her with us. So
I
he
was
thought,
worried.
yeah, he thought that she
Because
had
I know
gotten-
snakes could kill a little kitten. So I was,
Yeah.
but there was of course hawks, and there was just
Eagles and,
vultures,
yeah,
and the
vultures.
wildlife was incredible. We saw of course deer and just about everything you can think of. And there was some place where you could hike, you could go off. You're on private property, but they didn't seem to mind. And I had some great hikes
And bike rides.
while we were
Yeah.
working. And then another thing we gotta mention is that one of the sites they had a fire stack. Tell them about that.
Oh, the fire stack. It was really noisy, actually. I didn't like the fire stack, but it
I
did
didn't mind it.
illuminate the whole gate area. It was actually across the street. And yeah, it was just, I was loud. I didn't like it, but
So
it
we're
was
burning
cool
off
looking.
sour gas, but there's a gigantic flame. You've probably all seen it, but it was right next to us. It was like 300 yards away, right across the road,
Yeah.
and it was constantly burning off that gas, gigantic flame for like 24/7 for 6 weeks. It never went off.
Right.
And
And
so
then-
it was this loud noise. So noise is an issue. There's a lot of noise. There's a noise of the generator, noise of the fire stack, noise of the trucks. So
yeah.
it's pretty noisy. I wore headphones most of the time. She didn't, but I have my Bose headphones, which are noise canceling. So I pretty much had those on all the time.
Yeah.
So-
And two, you're out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, these oil fields are away from any light pollution or anything.
Yeah.
So some of the viewing of the stars and the full moons and stuff. Oh, we just saw some spectacular skies
did.
and sunsets, and it was
Yeah, so I got it. Being out there all night sometimes it'd be boring. I'd have to sit out there about 6 hours in the middle of the night. So I downloaded an app that allowed me to look at any light in the sky. It would tell me what planet it was, what star it was, and then it could tell me real time, or I could identify any just by pointing it. It was really cool. So I did that because there's nothing else to do.
right. I think it would be easier for us if Chris didn't already have a job, but because Chris pretty much needs to be available for his company during the day, I would work during the day and then he would work at night.
Yeah.
And there was really no opportunity for him to sleep at night. We always had at least a truck per hour, and so he'd be up all night, and then it'd be hard for him to work the
So
next
she
day.
did an amazing job because, basically she's a workaholic. She's amazing. She's like beyond belief. Wasn't for her, I'd be in a gutter somewhere. So she's working like 18, 20-hour shifts. I have to do the 6-hour shift for my dispatching job, and then I have to cover this, but it got to the point where she was having to do a huge number of hours, and it was intense and amazing because, couldn't sleep, so we both were just exhausted.
Yeah,
but I don't want to,
No,
I
it
think
wasn't
a
a
lot.
negative thing. I think
No, I
definitely
think
for a couple
yeah.
who doesn't have another job on top of this. If he wasn't
Could
working,
be a
it would
good,
be
easy job.
a great
yeah.
job. In fact, my mom is coming on with us in
Yeah.
October, and then we're going to go back to the gate guard thing.
And all three of us
yeah.
will work it, and so we can.
And that'll make
yeah.
things a lot easier.
And maybe we can go on a few excursions when Grandma's covering the gate.
So let's talk about the pay a little bit. So we get paid
Like $10 a day, so the pay's not that great.
No, not that great
Okay,
at all.
no. What is it?
All right. So at the company we were working for, we made $175 a day, and that worked out to $1,225 a week, and they pay every other week. And you know, if you work that out to hourly, so it's $12.25 a week. That's for 7 days, working 24 hours a day. Yeah, it's
about
barely
$7 an hour.
Yeah, it's barely minimum wage.
Less than minimum wage. So but you have hours where there's no trucks coming through. You've got, the greatest thing is your electricity and your water are provided, and
Yeah,
you're not
everything's
paying any
provided for
RV
you.
park fee. So you're basically boondocking for free without having to do all the work of getting the water, and you have the electricity. You can have two.
Right, somebody
air-conditioners
shows
running.
up every week to
So,
set you up. And
That's a huge benefit.
there are other pros and cons too. You know, I can do dishes while I'm working. I can cook dinner while I'm working. I watched a million YouTube videos. We watched movies. We played cribbage. We're still leading our lives. We're still working from home and doing the things that we would normally do while we're working. You know, I mean, you can get a job at Walmart and make money, you know, at Walmart. What you can't do is work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so, you know, the oil field is just a way to make money really quick. It's not,
Right.
I'm not going to lie and say it's super easy, but it's also not super tough. There's nobody looking over your shoulder, and you can go
Right.
on with your daily life while
You
you're
can,
working.
to a degree, but I have to be realistic. It is work, and so you're never 100% stress-free. So anything you're doing, you're watching TV, doing the movie, especially when it's overnight, you've got to be conscious. You got to be aware of that. So you know, it's, I don't know. It's work. So I don't want to get. I think you might
definitely
think
work.
it's
Yeah,
easy. Oh,
it's
this.
not.
Oh my God. I'm sick. You know, it sounds not everything. If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. So this is just our emergency backup job, which we're going to stick to for a while. But
Yeah, it's been working really good. We're definitely going back this fall to do it again. We want to get a bunch of money up by New Year's and then head to Florida, and then we'll have a lot of money to just do a bunch of fun things in
Right.
Florida. We got a bunch of fun stuff.
Florida
planned.
sounds great.
Yeah. All right, well, that's all about our gate guarding this winter. I hope you found it interesting, found some information that was helpful. If you are interested in gate guarding and you have any questions for me, or you want to know what company we work for, anything like that, just shoot me an email. I'll be more than happy to share that information with you. Our next video will just talk about catch everybody up to where we are right this minute, maybe some warranty work that we're struggling with and stuff like that. So stay tuned, hit the like button and subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you know when we drop our next video.
Adios, amigos.
Bye, have a great day.